Wakey, wakey. Hello, good morning. It is another beautiful day, another beautiful week. And I'm glad that you've joined us this morning. My name is Debala Nair. I trust you had a lovely restorative weekend as always, relaxed, and you're ready to face the week. It is the 10th of July. I'm ahead of myself, 2023. And today is Monday, where you have a standpoint coming your way, where we look at the politics of the day, looking at the week that has been, where we saw Azimio on the streets protesting and agitating right now for 10 million signatures to be appended to seek to impeach President William Ruto. Experts they have weighed in and asking questions regarding the legality of it. Where is the provision of the Constitution in this? Or is this just hyperbole and political sleight of hands and gimmicks from Azimio? Is it an exercise in futility? There has been a probing question, and that has been said as much and asked by also the Deputy President, Shagwa himself. We shall be looking at that and the raft of other issues as well. Those protests, they continue apace this week, but what does it portend for the economy? What does it portend for you and your security? And that is a probing question that is hanging on the rafters of the minds of many Kenyans that we shall be looking at today. The Council of Governors is also challenging the Senate to really up the ante so that money question that is lacking in the counties can be addressed. They feel the Senate is not really pulling its weight as far as this issue is concerned. But what do? They don't hold the money. I mean, that is with the Treasury. That is another poignant question that is being raised by them as well. We're waking up to the face of Kenya not be showcased as far as the public service is concerned. And there is an audit report that shows majority of one ethnic group in this country have taken some of the leading parastatals here in the Kenya state or the state firms' top jobs. So there is the shareholder question that was raised political when we talk about political jargons here, that some of them are really taking a huge chunk of those positions in the state firms. We shall be looking at this and the raft of other issues as well. We have the ODM chair also challenging the leadership of the minority in the National Assembly. So is this also a faction that is being, or a rift that is beginning to crack within ODM? And for that matter as well, looking at Azimio largely, the question of Raila and his presidency in 2027 is being questioned again. This question and the question. So we have also Kalonzo Musyoka, who they're propping, that is the Azimio side of Wiper Party, who are propping Kalonzo Musyoka as the ideal candidate for 2027. We shall be looking at this and a raft of other issues as well. You know that really you can head over to our KTN News Twitter handle, where you can chime in, ask questions, and also you can head over at Debala Nair, which is my Twitter handle, so that we can actually get to converse there. All right, let's see what is fresh off the press this morning, and this is what you're waking up to on the front page of the Standard. No place for the small tribes. That is what the splash is saying here in state farms, and that is the Standard for you today. So I'll make sure that you get the drill on how you can actually continue with the conversation. No place for small tribes in public service. A report by MPs shows skewed composition of civil servants and a huge ethnic imbalance in employment, with a few communities taking the bulk of the slots in some government institutions. One community can occupy close to 40% of the positions. Gender role is also foreign in civil service. This story continues on page 4 of the Standard this morning. And we have Mandera West MP Yusuf Eden Haji saying there was a consistent pattern of exclusion of some communities among all institutions that appeared before the committee, and in most institutions it is visible that some communities have been excluded from employment at all cadres. That is a story that you want to follow inside the Standard this morning. Shock of 3,000 schools without head teachers. That is another story that you can follow. Schools without head teachers. The findings by the Presidential Working Party on education reform shows that apart from head teachers missing, there is a huge deficit of teachers across the country. And this story continues on page 10 of the Standard this morning. And you can see the breakdown here. Top 5 counties, secondary deficit county teachers needed. That is Kakamega, 9,999. And there is a deficit there of 4,283. You have Bungoma, 8,565. The deficit there stands at 3,529. You have Nakuru, 8,035. The deficit is 2,875. Homa Bay, 6,272. We have a deficit of 2,570. We have 5,153 on Bomet and 2,368. That is the deficit. The top county is secondary deficit. That is a story that we need to know why this is happening. And top 5 counties primary deficit. The list also goes on there. We have Kisumu leading and Kitui also trailing there, 2,911. That is the deficit. This is a standard for us today. And is of a US-Ukraine cluster bomb deal. That has been the question that has been raised. How US has given the terms and deploying these cluster bombs to Ukraine, which other countries have been raising hesitation about on the potential danger of using the cluster bombs. And you can follow the story on page 28 of the Standard this morning. Badi tears into Wandai over performance. And that is the story that you want to follow on page 8 of the Standard this morning. He said this morning he'll be telling us what is the beef right now. Is Wandai's leadership wanting? Safaricom CEO bought a bag 534 million shillings in bonuses. That is all covered in the business pages of the Standard. And where does Degree rank among EPL's best? That is their batting question on the sports pages of the Standard this morning. Remember, every Monday, Health and Science magazine comes your way, and it's all about if you're pregnant, watch your gum health. If you're pregnant, it's also important to watch your gum health. And you have all the gritty details about this inside the Standard this morning. This is how it looks. Make sure you grab a copy of the bold paper. Let's see what we have on the front page of the Daily Nation. I'll head over there quickly. Forgive me for being tacky a bit there. The challenges also. Seems I've lost it here. Let me go to the Star. Ethnic disparity laid bare in rich state farms. That is a story that you want to follow on the front page of the Star. Also, that is going blank on me. I need to just put them back. I want now make sure that I tinker with it by trying to zoom in. Where investors made billions in the first 6 months of 2023. Where investors made billions in the first 6 months of 2023. All the details are given here. And MPs approve Kenya's first fully fledged virtual university. That is the Open University is being given a thumbs up right now. And that also the cost of it will be a bit friendly. You can read all about it inside the Business Daily today. Also, Kenya is planning to substitute palm oil import bill. And this is also facing headwinds. Kenya's plan to substitute palm oil import bill faces headwinds. That is on the ticker. Uganda, Tanzania best. As far as the foreign direct investment is concerned, and they beat Kenya. Uganda, Tanzania beat Kenya to foreign direct investments. All the details inside the Business Daily today. Safaricom, KCB shares among 1.2 billion shillings unclaimed. That is another story that we want to follow inside the Business Daily this morning. Taifa Leo, jeshi la mapambano la panuka. Jeshi la mapambano la panuka. That is what you want to follow inside Taifa Leo, and you can see some of new entrants on Jeshi la Mapambano. This is Taifa Leo for you today. Revealed Kenya's big disease burden. That is what we have on the front page of the People Daily. Fresh data on health, bad lifestyle choices among leading causes of ill health among adults. Children are still suffering from largely preventable ailments. Data is showing what interventions are needed to make Kenyans more healthy. That is a story that you want to follow on page 4 and 8 of the People Daily. And Britannia on the verge of crumbling. Biscuit maker on the brink of liquidation despite successful run. Find out why that is happening. Pop appoints 21 new cardinals. I shall give you the details also of who has been appointed in Tanzania as well. Fresh blood raises hope athletes are ready to conquer in Budapest. That is another story you want to follow inside the People Daily this morning. All right, let me show you what we have on the front page of Daily Monitor. If you're waking up in Uganda, fight erupts over industrial parks. Fight erupts over industrial parks. And it's a satanic battle there. Titanic battle. You can read all about it inside the Daily Monitor. If you're waking up in Uganda this morning. Kazimba takes charge of divided Luero diocese and also living healthy. That is inside the Daily Monitor. Healthy living, miracle babies, Bambazi's journey to motherhood. You can read all about it inside the Daily Monitor if you're waking up in Uganda. In Tanzania, India's minister Tanzania to lead Indo-Africa ties. India minister Tanzania to lead Indo-Africa ties. This is what we have from the legislator there. NIC's plan to adopt AI use in insurance is another story you can follow on page 2. And top Tanzanian clergyman named Cardinal. That is the Citizen. AICC all out to turn around its business fortunes. Also, that is tucked away inside the Citizen as well. And we have Agizola Waziri Mkuu Lagota. That is Mwananchi still in Tanzania. And Askofu Rugambwa ateuliwa Kardinali. This is amongst the 21 cardinals that the Pope is seeking to appoint globally. Rugambwa is one of them in Tanzania. In Rwanda, top 5 projects awaiting 265 billion shillings budget. That is 265 billion Rwandan francs, not shillings, budget in COK. In February, 32 more sites were identified for urgent construction of public toilets in the city. And this story continues on page 3 of the New Times. Also, Nyabarongo 2 hydroelectric dam construction works, forced road closure. That is another story you want to follow inside the New Times. And why Rwanda did not apply for latest batch of malaria vaccine. Also, Rwanda on course to tackle illicit financial flows. All that inside the New Times if you're waking up there this morning. Let's see what we have on the front page of the East African this week. 5 things in way of candidate Tshisekedi. A limping economy, skewed mining contracts, Kagame and war in the East are among issues making DRC leader lose sleep as he gears up for elections on December the 20th. This story continues on page 4 and 5 of East African this week. And Sabasaba tax protest. As you can see, there's Azimio leader Raila Odinga amongst other leaders there protesting. 12 years a slave of instability, ray of hope for South Sudan. President Kiir's independence gift to citizens. Elections will be held in 2024. We hope all this promise will hold. And Pan-African Ruto woos Comoros to join EAC. That is another story you want to follow on page 12 of the East African this week. Looking at the editorial cartoons, it's that mudslinging season again. And you can see who are throwing the mud at each other. We have Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. It's that mudslinging season again. And this is what Wanjiku is worried about, as you can see drawn there by Egado. Inside the star is all about the 10 million signatures that Azimio is seeking to impeach President William Ruto. And you can see the tank there. The pen seems to be the barrel. And questions have been raised whether this will fly or is completely off the mark as far as the Constitution is concerned. That is the star for you today, was on what he has done. This is an interesting one as well from Azimio, and the allegations of bribery that was coming from the majority leader in the National Assembly. And you can see who are actually leaking the pails there that was being served by Osoro, the finance bill soup. Right, the Azimio brigade, they're all over the place now, leaking up that particular pail. And this is the allegations that was put forward that has raised questions, and people have been asking also, or questioning the integrity of our legislators as far as being the people who are watching over our constitutions, watching over our affairs, as we've delegated the power to them. So this, did it really fly? Did it really happen? And why has nothing been done so far with the allegations coming from legislator Osoro? That is a finance bill soup that was served. It was also drawn by Victor. We shall be discussing this and a raft of others. Editorial cartoons here, which is leading as a segue to our discussion as well. Well, I tanked with the China Daily. You saw a snippet of it, but this is what we have as the latest copy of The Economist, The Future of War. It's a special report there. We have also the CIA's blind spot. What are Putin and Zelensky really thinking? That is the latest copy of the Newsweek. And America's Great Workplaces also, they're all listed there. That is for 2023. The week, it is all focusing on the revenge which was being served there, as Putin's chef fatally weakened Russia's Tsar. Still, that is continuing. And you have also the turmoil in France, society divided. That is on the front page of the week as well. And Stano has drawn this today. Help, this will do. That is a signature. And you can see the white chasm there between Wananchi and the signatures. Will this be the bridge that they can cross over? That is a probing question as well. And we shall be hearing from our panelists as well. Not less for small tribes in public service. That is the headlining story, if you missed it, on the front page of the Standard as we started. And also we can see there, Mbadi tears into Wandai over performance. That is on page 8 of the Standard today. He's here, he'll tell us, as I've mentioned, and Safaricom CEO board bags 534 million shillings in bonuses. Allow me to introduce my panelists as we wait for others to join us. We are holding court this morning with Dr. Makali Mulu, who is the Member of Parliament, Kitui Central. Also with us is John Mbadi, who is the ODM Chair and nominated Member of Parliament. We shall be joined by Danson Mungatana as well, and Hilary Sigay to continue apace with the conversation on a raft of issues, looking at what transpired last week regarding also the protest. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good to see you, and thank you for joining us. Yes, so a raft of issues that we have to discuss today, and I want just to hear from you, first of all, from your constituents. We'll begin with you, Honorable Bakali. Kitui Central.
Yes, yeah.
How is Kitui Central?
Good morning, Debal. Kitui Central is fine. I actually left there last evening, and we are now harvesting some maize.
Okay.
It's a bit cold, as usual. This is July, so it's a bit cold now. But generally, it's fine. Yeah, people are busy now.
People are busy
in their farms. Harvesting the little they got. At least Kitui Central was not very badly off in terms of maize and beans. But you're also aware that the outer parts of Kitui County, you're also having challenges in terms of there wasn't much harvest. The rains failed, actually. Yeah, but we're happy to be here. We wish the viewers well as we engage. this important discussion.
Right.
Yes.
John Buddy, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning to you.
Yes,
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I assume you know you're a church goer. So yesterday, can you remember the sermon? How did it change you?
I go to church on Saturday.
You go on Saturday?
It's at 7.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes. So what was the overarching message on Saturday? Did it move you? If you may remember.
as usual, it does. We are currently approaching what we call the annual camp meetings, and that is a time that first we remember there's something we need to give back to God, and giving back to God does not necessarily mean that you only support church activities,
yes,
or directly church activities, but you also are required to support those who are less privileged in the society. So it is refreshing.
It is refreshing.
Yes.
Right, I can see. Maybe we can just begin with you first of all, and because the Standard has given a whole spread on you on page 8, where you are tearing into Wandai's overperformance. So what is actually leading to this conversation, first of all, that you have to highlight this?
Well, first of all, well, thank you for making me
Our page.
headline. It is not so common to be on the headline news. But if you really read that, well, it was an interview that one of your journalists called me and interviewed me on a number of issues, myriad of issues. And one of them was the performance of the opposition in Parliament, or to be more specific, in the National Assembly. And I gave my view.
Yeah.
But really, I don't think it was tearing into Wandai. I think the media tried to make it juicy.
Juicy.
Which is normal, I know. I've been around and I deal with media sometimes. If you see Mbadi tears into Wandai, you get excited, you want to read. But I think what I said, or what I was asked, is to rate the performance of the opposition in Parliament today. Okay. First, I did say that because of bad manners of Kenya Kwanza, they have actually raided into our territory. Azimio was actually not supposed to be minority. We were supposed to be majority. They raided into our territory, took some of our members, some political parties like UDM. They started with UDM, MDG, then they went to Jubilee, which literally they have obliterated Jubilee. They've taken almost 90% of the membership of Jubilee. And now they are even daring to come to ODM, and they have enlisted the support of a number of the members, about 7 or so. But something else that I said, that the number that we still have is critical enough. Is a good number. Is about 80 members who are committed, and they can confirm the same. From WIPE, actually, we almost have a near full house. Apart from Farah Mali, the rest are committed to the cause. ODM is still over 80-90% committed. So what I said is that this number just needs good coordination. And the leadership, and by the way, I want to declare, because I was interested in minority leadership, that I'm no longer interested in that position. So whatever I say should be treated as coming from any other member. So I feel our leadership needs to do a little more in terms of coordinating members. I see a lot of confusion on the floor of the House. When we were discussing the finance bill, especially at the committee of the whole House, there was a lot of confusion. You don't know when to say yes, you don't know when to say no, because of lack of direction. Initially, members were advised that we were not going to propose any amendments to the bill because we were going to reject it in total anyway. But later on, a decision was made to accept the amendments from members of Azimio. That should have been communicated properly. And if possible, there should have been coordination on the floor of the House. The whipping is a bit weak. Honorable Junet is literally absent, which I find a bit interesting for a whip. And so we need to be candid with each other. Let's not hide try to bury our heads in the sand. We would have done much better. Not that we were going to win the votes anyway, but Kenyans should have seen a well-organized opposition. We did it in the 11th Parliament. We did it. Well, 12th Parliament was a bit different because when we started working with President Uhuru, we were now in the majority, slightly a majority over there, what we used to call Tanga then.
Yes.
But I would draw parallel with the 11th Parliament. CORD had even fewer numbers than we do have today. And we were able to hold the government to account in a number of issues, including even the Security Laws Amendment Bill, although it became chaotic. So what I'm calling for in terms of leadership of the National Assembly is first presence. You can't lead people when you are not present. 2, coordination. 3, communication. So we need clear communication. You need to understand your members, you need to communicate to them clearly so that whoever does not follow what has been communicated then is seen to be rebellious. Like when communication was made to reject the bill at the second reading, although again there, I also again fault the leadership because they should have communicated that Kenya Kwanza were going to bring this bill earlier than everyone else thought. We thought it would be brought after the reading of the budget highlights by the CS. But it is like there was a House Business Committee which sat and agreed that this bill should be brought earlier. And it wasn't communicated to many of us. And then so many members were absent. Some didn't even come to the floor. I don't know whether they had this information.
So that should have come from the leadership of ODM?
Of course, yes, because that is why leadership is in the House Business Committee. And then we have some members in the House Business Committee. You ask yourself, what are they still doing there? Like Kainan, you know. The leadership needs to get them out of those committees and give committed Azimio members. In a nutshell, as we wait for direction from our leadership outside, there is also leadership inside the National Assembly.
So what really happens to a person who is supposed to be weeping and he's not weeping? Who weeps him? If it's a lack of presence like Jeanette and he's not been really actively involved, so who questions his lack of commitment, his lack of presence in the House?
You see, Jeanette has been a very committed member of Azimio, and is actually the Secretary General of Azimio. So, you know, we are not dealing with an ordinary person here. But I think it is, if he's too busy, the best thing to do for the sake of the coalition is to just resign and ask to be replaced. He is a very valuable member. I don't think membership of Azimio we should push him out of that position because the other alternative will be to remove him. But then that would not be very good because what Jeanette has also done in the coalition must be appreciated. I know we have also other issues here and there, but by and large, we need to appreciate people for what they have done. So I don't think it would be right to push him out. If I were him, if he's committed, because it appears he really has time. So if he doesn't have time for Parliament, he can step down for someone else to do the job. Yes.
All right. Let's hear from Makali, because the issue of Farah Maalim being the deputy leader and is not really shown a very clear stand as far as many issues are concerned, even the position of being in Azimio as well. What does the party really now focus on in terms of bringing him to toe the line? And seems he's a deputy leader of the party, and they're not really seeing eye to eye as far as many issues are concerned. They'll say this is the party democracy, but still, I mean, the position of a party has to be, you know, in tandem also with the deputy leader of the party.
Yeah, thank you, Dibal. What I would say is that in our party, actually, Wiper, we do practice a lot of it done on democracy. That you will be able to do what you want, and our party leader is not somebody who will always call you, find out why are you doing this. I remember at one point when we were discussing the BBI, we went to KICC, and our party leader was there. He did state the position of the party to the team which was conducting the issue of the consultations. And immediately our party leader concluded what he was saying, and all members we said that is the position of the party. As we were winding up, the party leader says, since the deputy party leader is here, let me give him a minute to say something. And you know what what Honorable Farah did, that the minute he was given, he actually took a different position from the party position. And I remember as we were getting out of KICC, you know, that time, as all of us were just so mad with him, actually wanted to go physical on him as members.
Go physical.
Yeah, but our party leader told us, no, don't do it. Actually, I tell you, a few of us were ready to go physical because we were just mad with him, and we said, so you know, our party leader tells us, no, gentlemen, this is a democratic party. Let's allow him to say what he was. So when we went back to the neck, we became very mad, and we told the party leader, we must remove this honorable member from this party. But we could see, you know, at times the party leader will not say, but you can see the signs, and he's saying, yeah, no. So as we just went cool on him, now, this 13th, that time he was not a member of parliament, he was just a normal member. Now, yeah, we have him as a member of parliament, elected on a Wiper ticket, and for your information, we a whole group from Wiper of members went to his concerns to campaign for him, serious campaign for him, together with even other senior leaders. Now, when we come back to the house, one thing I like about him is very independent-minded. But you know, all said and done, he must also bear in mind that he's a party member. So we are there where we are today. You can say, I don't know whether he's just stating what he should be stating, or he has just decided to do his own things. Because I don't think what he says is a party position. So as Honorable Band says, Wiper, we are intact, but we have only him and another one member, the nominated member. We have one nominated member of Wiper. Honorable, we call him what, this gentleman from Baza. He's actually, we call him Kanavu. There is, you know, he's brought up in Kitui, so we normally use the common name of Kanavu. That is a vision name. Yes. He has also decided just to go, but that one we understand because he has a court case. You know, the party took him to court, and he's very unhappy with that position. So those are our two members who seem to be not towing the party line. But just following up on what Honorable Mbandi was saying, I think our weakest link as a coalition is the whipping. Because you can see, since we started this parliament, the 13th parliament, I think because of the issues Bandu was mentioning, which are not really, we don't need to discuss them here, Junaid has been not very active. Actually, it's only now for the last 2 weeks when he has come out strong. Now he's doing a bit of whipping. And then things to make things worse, you know, now I'm deputy whip now. That position is another controversial one. You know the issue of the Sabina Cheke issue, the Honorable Mwenje issue. So whipping is the central point where you articulate all the issues with the party position, you whip members to that position, but then you find very little has been done in that area. So that becomes our very weakest link. That when positions are taken, me and Band, we have sat in the house business for many, many years. Actually, since I joined parliament, it's only now this parliament I'm not in the house business. And normally what would happen is after house business, because the house business automatic position is the minority leader and the minority whip. Those are automatic. You don't even think, they must be that. The whole issue is after now house business, because the house business sets the calendar for the house, now the whip is supposed to go and communicate the position of the house business to the members. Say we have agreed tomorrow, these are the motions coming, these are the bills coming, and if there's need to take a party position, then that party position is consulted with the party leaders. You consult the party leaders as the whip and the leadership, and then you communicate that position of the coalition to the members. So by the time the members come to the house, they know this is our position as a coalition, and then whatever you say as a member, at the end of the day, you'll be driving your thinking towards the party position. And I think that's where we have been having issues. The other place where I think I agree with Bandi is, you know, other than the issue of communication, there's one thing we also, I don't think we're getting it right, because I like being objective. Me, I've been an evaluation expert for many, many years. And when you are evaluating performance, you need to be very, very objective so that you help improvement. The other thing we have not gotten it very well, I think, the issue of strategy.
Okay.
You know, strategy is very important. You must be able to sit and say, what are the options in terms of strategy? And map those options. And once you map the options, be able to say, out of those options, what are the likely outcomes? Then once you determine what are the likely outcomes out of which option, strategy option, then you'll be able to say, for us as a coalition, this is the best strategy. And then you'll have strategy 1, you can have strategy option number 2, so that in case number 1 doesn't work, then you can go to number 2.
Thank you.
And you see, like when we discussed the finance bill, initially there was that proposition that we are not going to make any amendments because we will oppose it in totality. But then later, I think through just, which I think was also good thinking, that we realized there are some clauses which might also be helping Kenyans. And just rejecting the bill in totality, we might be seen as a coalition like we are not even interested in generating revenue for the country. And I think the country requires revenue because the country must continue,
right,
irrespective of who is in power.
Today is a big day, of course. We should be
so you see now with that debate, we agreed, let's then make amendment. And that's why most of us went out and did a lot of amendments, because we were saying, let's do several amendments in case mine is not taken up, then bodies could be taken up. And we have an opportunity now to communicate to Kenyans our position as our coalition. But now to make things worse, because of that poor communication, which Band was talking about, most of our members were even away. Because I remember actually we had a discussion with the Honorable Mbandi immediately after the budget, and we were discussing when is the likely date for finance, and because of our experience, we did agree that this will come after we are through the budget. And you know, my position was, what I was thinking is, it should have been the work of the people who sit in the house business to tell their house business, to say in the house business that procedurally, finance bill cannot be passed before the budget. Exactly. And on the basis of that, then we'll have our team, they will push for a later date. And then allow our members who are out of town, others who had other engagements, now they can be told, next week from this date, we are discussing this bill, and you need to be in town.
Thank you.
I remember I was supposed to go to Turkey for something. And I said I can't go because I didn't want to leave around that time. I said it's good we clear this. So the in short, we are saying that we need to have an internal meeting as a coalition, discuss our own things objectively, and agree on how we can organize this team. We actually very many, 80 members of parliament, 80 members of parliament can make that house perform very effectively.
Thank you.
Yes.
Let's rope in Hilary Sigay as well, fresh from Bomet, just to also give us an update of how Bomet is so far and how was his experience last week regarding the protest as well.
Thank you, Dibal. Morning, Senior. But my colleagues in the house are senior actually in the house. Thank you for having me today. Let me begin by just highlighting a comment that I haven't read the write-up by Honorable Mbadi, but there's a comment that he made which I don't want to escape my mind about the leadership. Leadership is all about whipping, and whipping members into a cause is not just asking them to attend the sessions in Parliament, but also giving them insights of whatever discussions, debate or motions that are in the House, for them to have a feel and also probably develop their independent mind onto the conversation. But I like the choice of words that you used when you were asking Honorable Makali about his comments on the previous happenings in Parliament. And you mentioned something to do with independence of mind and democracy. I'm trying to rephrase it. And I believe that is one of the reasons as to why Honorable Mbadi and his team have this position that people have moved on. And therefore, when it comes to certain decisions being made, your position was, why do you have Faramali, for example, sometimes taking certain positions? You answered yourself by saying, besides the fact that we need to have party democracy, there is always that ability to say there is a position that the party has taken. And in most of these cases, that is true in our political setup. But where there is already some bit of confusion, disorganization in the political dispensation, things like that happen. And somehow, a number of members have moved on from the August 2022 elections to now issues to do with their electorate. They would desire to have to operationalize a number of things, the commitments they made to their people, and to see progress of such development, and also the reason as to why a number of them would have, in most cases, say, look, we need to work with the government of the day, because at the end of it all, I've got a mandate, I made commitments to my constituents, I need to make sure that at least I also do something for the people. The experience we had last week is obvious. I mean, Maandamano is becoming unpopular by the day. It's dwindling down day by day for obvious reasons. I've just said people moved on to, there is confusion in Azimio generally. I mean, the position Honorable Makali's team will take is different from that which Honorable Mbadi and ODM would take. So that confusion is what has led to the irrelevance of, you know, this particular protests that we have. Although, of course, unfortunately, we had a number of very negative occurrences there. People, a number of them slept hungry. Right. Those who were out there. But in places where people were allowed to work, they had their day, they worked, they earned, their families also at least got something to have at the end of the day.
All right, thank you. I can see your county has been listed as one of them when you're talking about shock of 3,000 schools without head teachers. We have among the top 5 counties, right? We have you have a deficit of 2,368 in secondary schools. And also, Honorable Wakali, you need to pick up on yours as well, because we have 2,911, especially when it comes to primary deficit of head teachers. So that is a story that you can tell us more about. Are you aware? Why do we lack head teachers there? Are you privy to this?
I am actually. I've had a very lengthy conversation with the county director. Dr. Yator, who is a new county director to the county of Bomet, came in a month and a half ago, or I think almost 2 months now in office. And the last conversation I had with him was a week ago about this, but the numbers were not as much as this. This yes, he gave me, it was around 2,100 thereabouts. Why? 2 reasons. There has been, you know, whenever there is a challenge with the administration, because previously we had a county director who had serious issues with the administration, both among the teacher unions, teachers themselves, and now even the general administration. And that is one of the reasons why we had to fight out until we had Dr. Yator being posted from where he was to replace the county director, who was absent for most of the time. Now, that absence led to, of course, a number of things, including failure to promote, for example, teachers. Like in this case, the 2,368 is also attributed, that is one of the reasons why that has happened. Number 2 is a good number of teachers went in to do interviews. They were taken through interview sessions for purposes of career progression and promotion. Now, what I had, because even as late as yesterday, I was having a conversation with the representative of the teachers from Chepalungu constituency. Where I come from, Chepalungu is one of the 5 constituencies in Bomet County. The performance of the students in Chepalungu constituency is the best within the county, among the 5. But when the teachers were evaluated and interviewed for purposes of career progression, they were the last. And the reason why that happened is because the then sub-county director had issues with the then area member of parliament because of teacher promotions and teacher transfers. You see, part of the responsibilities that we have as leaders, Dibal, sometimes is to facilitate requests from our members. Last year, there was a ban on delocalization, where teachers were now rerouted back to their homes, to their regions, to the places where they can at least deliver for the kids. Now, in this particular case, the story I have collected is that a good number of teachers, after the policy on delocalization was banned and teachers were allowed to be rerouted,
yes,
most of them were allowed to exit, but those who were away have not been rerouted back to the county. And this is one of the challenges that we have had. We've been fighting over time. At least we have an arrangement with the county director and the teachers' leadership. We have a good number of Bomet teachers who are still teaching in the northern frontier places. Bungoma, a huge number in Bungoma, and also a bit of the Tana River section, where because of this policy now have been shelved, they decided to come back, and those who were in Bomet moved out.
Thank you.
But majorly, it is about that promotion issue. It is about the delocalization issue and the recalling of the teachers who previously worked in other counties outside the county of Bomet. But of course, it's very worrying. You can imagine we do not have this. I know a good number of these are deputy principals of various schools, because the largest number is that one. Why? Because the career progression guideline from the Teacher Service Commission is that when you are not in a certain group, job group, you can't be given that position. You are only assigned responsibilities of that position, but substantively you cannot, because you've not attained the job group that will earn you that particular position. But it's something that we must also have a conversation and see how we can help, because this will ultimately lead to also inability of the schools to perform. Students will have also, they will also not be able to get the teachers who can guide them, teach them to excel in the academic. And that will boil down to the performance of the county.
Thank you.
Which we must push it up so that we get a replacement, we get the numbers, and cut across to make sure that our kids also excel in the academic fortunes.
Thank you. Let me open Danson Mungatana, who is also fresh from Tana River, where UDA had an activity there trying to make sure that the recruitment drive is going on. So that is, they're seeking to have at least 15 million by 2027. But politics over there regarding the protest took center stage as well. I don't know what your sentiments were. Maybe you can tell us. At least you're the reporter on the ground, so now you can report on this one. You represented us.
Thank you very much, Dibal. We had a very successful meeting at home. We held this meeting in Minjila. Minjila is in Garsen constituency. And what I'm happy about in this UDA party is that we have started planning for 2027. As our friends are just moving around, throwing stones, engaging police, and moving round and round, we are planning for 2027. How are we doing so? We are explaining to our people from the top of the political organs in the party. We are explaining to our people why government is doing what we are doing. And we have said why we can't borrow more. We can't expose the public to more borrowing because the window has been shut by the previous government. We are explaining to our people that we had to pass the Public Management Act in this way because we have to actually carry out development projects. We are explaining to our people that in Tana River for the first time we have the Tana, the TDIP, the Tana Irrigation Development Program through TARDA is being revived, and they can see jobs are being created on the ground. And this money is coming from our taxes. We have seen the water problem, the water gravity issue back up in Bura constituency being revived. They can see the projects. We are redoing the big tarmac roads connecting the entire county, and we are explaining to them why government is doing that. As a result, we have said no mandamano in our place. We are going to our farms. It is raining for us, and we are focusing on economic development. And because of that, we are targeting to recruit more and more and more people in all our wards. And we also are planning for our elections in the UDA party. So if we are explaining to our people through the political party and all the political leadership that was there, even some of them who are not even in our party, explaining to the people government policies and telling them why we need to go the way we are, this is in preparation for 2027. This means by the time we come to the general election, our people will have understood what we are about, and they will also know the promises we gave them, whether we delivered or not. Now, this is what I call good politics. manage your politics. But coming to Nairobi and telling people, let us go to throw stones, let us move from one place to another the whole day instead of engaging in productive activity, it is old style politics, and Raila needs to style up. Times have changed. He needs to actually hand over the leadership to younger people like Mr. Mbandi and other people who see things differently. You know, you need to progress. Even in established democracies, when people lose elections, you know, go to the UK, go to the US, it is very rare that the same candidate, no matter how strong, no matter how charismatic and whatever that person is, it is very rare for that person in established democracies for him to go back the second time to run for the Republican ticket or the Democratic ticket, to run again and 5 times surely when there are no people around. It's only in Africa and in a few of these countries that you see people who, since independence, okay, they ruled the country when the independence was there, then their political party lost vision, or their messaging lost vision, and then new people have come up and they have thrown old parties out. You know, they have come out and they have pushed their countries ahead. It's Africa that you see people and old people still running for president, still insisting, playing the same old records, and then still doing the same things when they lose, claiming they lost elections and what, inciting their blind followers, behaving like cult leaders. It is just wrong. And I want to tell Raila and the team of the old people, the Orengos and so on, it's time to go. And I'm glad Nyong'o and Orengo have decided they are going to govern their counties and then maybe going to retirement. But the old man is still there. Why can't we see that times have changed? It can't be right that when I was in university, we used to hero worship these people, Paul Muite, Anyang' Nyong'o, Raila Odinga, the likes Gitobu Imanyara, when they were leading us. We were student leaders then. Now, all these other people have either receded or planning for retirement. Raila is still up there. Doing what? When we have now become members of parliament, senators. And I'm making this case not because of anything else, but because let's have new ideas, let's have new players. Even in football, no matter how good you are, your time expires. Get off the field, get other people signed in. And this, when I say political party organization, is critical. And you see what UDA is doing now is preparing. There are new people who have come in, people are planning, and I wish we had that kind of organization in other political parties. You know, I've seen DP, the old mzee there, saying on newspaper now, he used to be minister sometimes ago. Now he's even Democratic Party.
Okay,
the guy said, I'm going to hand over to younger people because times have changed. You know, Munyao,
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Munyao alikuwa cabinet secretary those days. It is time. We want to have leadership like Ruto's, where you sit with the boss and tell him, look, this one is wrong. You can't keep doing this. This one is wrong. And he sits and he argues with you and tells you, no, this one, I think we should push it this way. But you know, these old people, like sitting with my father, in their generation, you could not ask him questions. And it is this kind of people that need to accept that times have changed. You cannot be a leader in a new democratic space and try to prescribe 1963 politics. So with a lot of respect, you've played your part, go. Do what other people are doing. And we are saying they are still playing around here in Nairobi and whatnot. 2027 will come. We will have grassroots organizations done very well, and we will defeat Akinambandi if they don't change their style. Why? Because they are not selling anything. You don't tell people we are going to the streets and you are not giving them any option. You're not giving them any option. You don't come to argue budget. You don't bring propositions. You are defeated. Your guys are not there. Then you come and say, oh, we are going to the streets. I don't get it. Get into the business of politics and do your thing right.
Right. If you're here, maybe Mbadi was alluding to that, also maybe they need to put your the house in order as far as that is concerned? Is it speaking to what you've been saying largely?
Not really. Let me try to address some of the issues that my colleagues have raised.
Can I just take a short break before you come back and address those issues? Because I know it's going to take a long time, so I don't want to just butt in before you do that. Right, we'll take a short break. You're watching Standpoint here on Morning Prime. And when we get back, we shall be looking at those issues that are being raised here, the 10 million signatures that are being sought to impeach the president. As far as Azimio is concerned, the people are sovereign. And when they append those signatures, what do they do with them? Which avenue, which legal framework would this be applied? Because also the Deputy President is bluffing this, saying this is an exercise in futility. Don't go away, you're watching Standpoint.